Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm making Ukrainian Russian dinner rolls with garlic and herbs with a very cute name, Pampushki. Pampushka is a small savory or could be sweet yeast-raised bun or doughnut, typically of Russian Ukrainian cuisine, often served with borscht or other soups, and the origin of it is Ukraine. The recipe is very easy. You will need 300 grams of flour, 150 grams of warm water, 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 egg, and 3 tablespoons of cooking oil, and I'm using avocado oil. In a large mixing bowl, combine 150 milliliters of warm water, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. We're going to mix those together, and the yeast is going to start reacting to the sugar and become alive. Then we're going to add 1 egg. We're going to mix those together. And notice that salt is added to our mixture at the very last moment, which is now. We're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and I'm using avocado oil. Now we're going to add about 2/3 of our flour, which is 300 grams of flour in total, which is going to add 2/3 at first, and we're going to mix it into a paste, because with flour, here's the thing, it's always easier to add than subtract. So then we're going to add the rest of our flour, and we're going to start forming our dough. I find using a scraper in mixing the dough, especially a very wet dough like this, could be very useful. So we're just gonna scrape the bowl, and we're just gonna gather all the little flour bits with our dough. And at this point, we're just going to transfer our dough onto the table surface. There's no need to add more flour since it has oil in it and should not stick to your fingers. And then we're going to start kneading it. And we're going to knead it, and you see it's still kind of grainy. So we're just going to continue kneading it until the dough becomes very pliable and very smooth in texture, like this. Then form your dough into a ball, and we're gonna put it in oiled mixing bowl. We're just gonna oil it slightly. We're just gonna put our dough inside, then put a little bit of oil on the top of it. We're just gonna cover it and put it in a warm place for 1 hour to rise. I have a bread proofing function in my oven, so here it goes in the oven for 1 hour to proof. Let's make the topping for our pampushki. I have 3 cloves of garlic, which I'm gonna mince with this rocking tool, and you guys know very well if you watched my videos, I use this tool quite often and I really like it. So then we're gonna transfer our minced garlic into a small cup. To that, we're gonna add some fresh dill. So I'm gonna chop some fresh dill, and I have to tell you something about dill. Dill is probably one of my favorite herbs. I mean, if I had a choice to add dill to my ice cream, I would. I just love the taste of it. I like the flavor of it. It's so fragrant. It is so delicious. Then we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of avocado oil or any type of vegetable oils, and we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of water. We're gonna mix it all together, and our topping is done. You could also use 1 teaspoon of salt in your topping, but I've decided I'm gonna use the finishing salt at the end to sprinkle on top of our pampushka. Look at this dough. It is fully proofed and almost tripled in size, and the texture of it has changed a little bit too, because the gluten is more relaxed in this dough and it became a little bit more pliable. And for easy rolling, we're just gonna divide it in half, and we're gonna work with 1/2 first. We're gonna make it into a snake, and then we're gonna start cutting pieces, about 30 grams each, just small pieces like that. Each piece we're gonna form into a ball and set it aside, and it's not time for baking yet because, believe it or not, we're gonna need a second proof for this dough. And then pour about a tablespoon of vegetable oil into the baking dish, and we're just gonna spread it around. And then we're gonna place our little pieces in there and choose the dish where you can place all the pieces side by side, and they have to sit there kind of tight like that. Cover it and let proof for another 20 minutes. To make our pampushki golden brown, we're gonna need an egg wash. So just scramble an egg and we're ready to bake. And look at them, after a second proof, they pumped up a little bit. I don't know, maybe that's why they called pampushki. But trust me, it's not an English word. It's a Russian, Ukrainian word. But it sounds to me like pampushki comes from the word pumped up. Bake your pampushki at 360 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes or until they're golden brown. While they're still hot, we're gonna start bathing them in this beautiful topping we made with dill and oil and garlic. And look at this. And that's why I told you to have them a little bit sitting tight in that baking dish, because when we apply the topping on top of our pampushki, the topping stays on top and doesn't sink to the bottom. Then we can add a little bit of that finishing salt just on top of them, and we are ready to try them. And look at this. This is so delicious, and the dough is so fluffy, and they have garlicky taste, and they're absolutely a must to have when you eat your borscht. And please don't forget to check out my borscht recipe. It is delicious. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye.